Wanted to make a quick video about our lovely adult corn snake Pumpkin. She's about 3-4 years old. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. She was my sister's snake first, and then my dad took her, and I got her last summer because my dad was living in a house where he unfortunately couldn't really take her out of her tank because my grandmother is terrified of snakes. So yeah, that was the deal of having her, which I'm pretty happy to say I have her now. She's about 5.5 feet long. Hi, baby. Very affectionate, as you can see. I will say most snakes are not like Pumpkin. Well, okay, most snakes will do that. But most snakes are not as affectionate and tolerant as Pumpkin is. For example, she's been held and pet by 2- and 4-year-old children. Oh, look, she knocked a plug out. I don't know where that went. She also really likes to try to slip through my ears, which is the reason I wear these and not my white tunnels anymore. Because, yeah, she also likes to tangle herself in things. So yeah, she's actually a bit bigger than your average corn snake. She's only 5.5 feet right now, but she has been growing, which is interesting because she's 3 or 4 years old at this point. She shouldn't really be gaining any more length. She should be gaining girth, which she is, but she's gained about 3-4 inches since I got her and moved out where I am now. Look at that face. She doesn't bite. She doesn't hiss. She's never bitten a person in her life. I don't think she's ever actually hissed at me either. She makes these little puffing noises when she's annoyed. Like, she'll half hiss like a in my face or in my ear to let me know that she's annoyed, but she doesn't actually hiss. This is actually the first time I've had her out in about 3 weeks now because she was brumating, which is reptiles' version of hibernating. They don't go into full-blown hibernation. They basically just sleep constantly, except when it's time to eat or poop. So she brumated for about 3 weeks, and then for the last week, she was in her tank. She was actually soaking herself 24/7, and we noticed that the scales on her belly were getting really pale, and the white spots were starting to go pinkish, which is usually a sign of shedding corn snakes. So we kind of let her soak and whatnot, and she spent literally 7 days straight in her bucket to the point where I would have to pull her out of her bucket to change her water. We weren't really sure why she was doing this at first because she doesn't usually soak for that long. But,
Mad at me.
Oh.
I pulled away the teddy bear.
Oh. Mm-hmm. But we realized, today that we started conditioning her water in her bucket because when my family had her, they didn't condition her water. They had weaned her off it. I don't recommend doing that because it will shorten their lives by a significant amount. So definitely condition your reptiles' water. We have a bottle this big. It's like a 500 milliliter bottle of water conditioner. We've had it for a couple weeks and we barely used any of it. We have 8 reptiles and 1 amphibian. It's not expensive. It's totally worth buying. But yeah, we didn't realize how much she liked conditioned water until we got our chameleon and had to condition her misting water. And we just started using the same misting bottle for everybody. And we noticed that Pumpkin would get really excited about the water on the side of her tank. So we decided to try conditioning her bucket, and really happy about that. So now I condition her water all the time. It's not good for them to soak that much unless they're going into shed. Like, I'm not overly fond of her soaking for 7 days straight. That was a little much. If they do it too much, they can cause scale rot. I can't emphasize that enough. You can't let your snakes soak constantly. They're going to cause themselves health problems. It's fine. Like, it's fine for them to soak before they shed. Oh, don't puff at me. I've had her out for a while now.
That was loud.
She's getting a little annoyed.
So she's
been kind of cranky and stressed. It's not unusual for them to be like that when they're brumating. It's really out of character for Pumpkin, though. There's a reason she's called Pumpkin. She's a sweetheart. She really is. let's actually see if we can get her to relax. We'll just... she's a blanket snake. As you're about to see, she will slip herself into that comforter
And sleep.
find a comfy spot, and sleep. So yeah, she's probably our most unusual of the reptiles, I think. She's so out of character for a corn snake. Like I said, she's never bitten anybody. She doesn't hiss at people.
Hates her hide.
She hates her hide, hates it, will not go in it unless she's shedding and we've misted the inside of it.
And she only has one hide.
And she only has one hide because we tried putting a cold hide in her tank and she was mad.
The bucket that she soaks in obsessively, she needs to sleep around the bucket.
Yep. And her water bucket is actually I think it's a 1.5 liter or a 2.2 liter Tupperware bucket. Because I can't find a bowl big enough for her to soak in because she's so unusually large for a corn snake.
We tried taking it away.
And we tried taking her bucket away one time.
We tried to switch her over to a shallower dish or like a proper dish, but Pumpkin, the one thing Pumpkin wants is her bucket.
Yep, that's the one thing we can't take away from her. See what I mean? She's right up in the comforter now, getting cozy. If I go right here. She's right in there.
And she's taking her time, too, because...
She knows we'll let her
Yeah.
snuggle in and sleep for a little while. So yeah, Pumpkin's really probably actually our easiest reptile, to be honest. Of the reptiles? Of the reptiles. This is not including the frog. The frog is definitely the easiest of the animals. But Pumpkin is the easiest reptile. Honestly, all we have to do is change her bucket every couple days.
She's the most...
and give her 2 mice every Sunday.
She's
That's
the most
it.
friendly snake. Like, for instance, we have a 4-year-old in our household who giggles and plays with her. So...
Who absolutely adores her.
She's great with children. Absolutely perfect.
I like to call her the snake that changes people's minds. And the reason I say that is because I actually know quite a few people who were, I don't like holding snakes, or I don't like touching snakes, or I'm scared of snakes, or, different levels of snakes. One friend who didn't like touching snakes will more than happily hold Pumpkin despite the fact that she feels weird on her skin. She's perfectly fine with her because she's such a docile snake.
Yeah, and that's not the only person.
No, I have a few friends who are actually pretty scared of snakes, and like I said, my grandmother's scared of snakes, but let my dad have Pumpkin in the house as long as Pumpkin was kept inside her tank, which is saying something because my grandma really does not like snakes. She's terrified. I couldn't even bring any of my other reptiles out while she was visiting around Christmas.
The mother of that little 2-year-old, she did not like touching snakes at all. She could not, and now every time she's over, she's trying to hold any of our snakes. Not even just Pumpkin. Pumpkin had quelled the fear of holding snakes for most of the people I know, actually. Pumpkin was one of the reasons why I have always been into lizards and stuff. I never planned on owning many snakes at all. I couldn't have cared less. Not that I don't like them, they're just not my forte.
Whereas I'm more into snakes.
And then Pumpkin moved into my house, and now I own my own horned snake.
Who's a juvenile.
Yeah.
She's not even half of Pumpkin size yet. We'll probably put up a video with October at some point. But that'll actually be a good that'll be a good way to show you guys how different snakes are.
Actually, another different thing with Pumpkin is she can run around anywhere, and Pumpkin will not attack her at all.
That's her best friend.
Yeah.
Her and Nirvana love each other.
Yeah. Reptiles can be conditioned. It's a matter of taking your time.
Yeah, and typically, my bearded dragon Pandora was horrified of Pumpkin when I first brought her home. Horrified. When I first moved in here, he would not go anywhere near her. Now, he can run around on the bed and I can have her on my shoulders and he doesn't even care. He doesn't even bat an eye. Nirvana will actually let Pumpkin crawl all over her because it feels like she's being pet. But, like I said, Pumpkin is a pumpkin.
Don't go out and buy a snake, though, and assume that it's going to turn out like Pumpkin.
It won't.
Pumpkin,
it probably won't, to be honest.
Those snakes are rare, but they do exist.
They do.
There are snakes like Pumpkin, and there are bigger snakes. Is she coming? Yeah. Oh, hi. maybe she doesn't want to sleep today. Maybe she's in adventure mode.
Which is nice to see, because she's been broodmating for like a month. Actually, she's been broodmating since I gave her her...
Oh, are you saying hi?
Hi. Do you want to say hi to the camera?
And as you can see with Pumpkin, here's another thing that people don't see often with snakes.
That's actually how the 2-year-old acts with her.
Yeah, and
she takes
a lot of people would say we're crazy for
kissing a snake
and allowing Pumpkin to be around 2-year-olds, but she really is harmless. And if she did bite, it would be out of complete reflex or fear, not out of maliciousness. Even when she gets upset, I have booped that snake for half an hour to prevent her from going off of the bed, and she refused to bite me.
See? She will not bite.
No.
No matter how many times I bop her nose, she will not bite. Like I said, the only time I've ever almost been bitten by Pumpkin was the one time I had previously been handling a dead frozen mouse, which is completely illogical because, as far as she's concerned, my hand smells like food.
Yep. That was our bad.
That was completely my bad. And she did lunge at me one other time when I was reaching into her tank to pick up a dead mouse that I had dropped in there. So that was that was kind of scary, but again, instinctive, right?
Yeah.
Not very often will you find snakes like Pumpkin. Not very often at all.
They do happen though.
They do happen.
People need to. I think the thing that people don't realize is snakes don't always lunge to hurt you, and they're not always out to hurt you. It's all fear. It's all fear. And once they realize, hey, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to eat you. Well, you get something like this. If you really work with a snake and you really know what you're doing, you could end up with a Pumpkin. She's the one that shows people, like, hey,
she's the snake that changes people's minds.
Look at me, I'm a sweetie, I'm not scary. I can literally hold on to her like this, and she will nothing. Absolutely nothing. She is
an angel.
No, she really is. I would never have gotten into snakes the way that I did had it not been for Pumpkin.